freezing out, snow on the ground, and this car just won't warm up properly. So on this video, guys, I'm going to be telling you how you can check for problems that lead to a cold engine. And what I mean by that is your gauge inside your car is not warming up into the middle. In this vehicle, our problem is most likely the thermostat right here. And on this video, we're going to be replacing that thermostat with a brand new Honda OEM thermostat, refilling the drain coolant with factory coolant right here. So stay tuned for the entire video. So in the past, I used to get a running rich code every now and then, and I can't really diagnose the problem of why my car throws a running rich code. Recently, I went to my buddy. We actually swapped intake housings right here where the mass airflow sensor is connected, just to rule out a mass airflow sensor issue with the running rich code. But as it turns out, this is not really the issue. But my buddy actually pointed out when we were beating on the car, it's like, yo, your coolant temperature isn't warmed up. It should be warmed up by now. And since then, I've been monitoring my coolant temperature, my radiator coolant temperature, and he was right. My car was not warming up properly. And the cause of that is this thermostat right here that's in this housing is probably going bad. For those of you that don't know what a thermostat is, this is a thermostat right over here. Let me throw in the macro lens for you guys. Alright, so this is the thermostat. It's pretty much a valve that opens based on a predetermined temperature. Like right over here, you can see the predetermined temperature is 82 degrees Celsius, which in this vehicle's application is around 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And it maintains an operating temperature which is perfect for the vehicle, and it maintains this operating temperature of the vehicle so the car can run efficiently, and it has correct fuel trims. It's not running too rich or too lean. So I'm going to show you guys a couple readings I got from my OBD2 scanner of the thermostat in a properly working Honda and then my Honda. So on the left right here, you can see that the temperature from a cold start warms up all the way, and once it reaches 180 degrees Fahrenheit, it maintains that average right there as a proper working thermostat that opens and closes fully should work. Now on the right over here is my vehicle. As you can see, it warms up and it's running cold because it never gets to that 180 degree mark, and it's already open. That means that the spring right over here is probably not fully seating and closing off this thermostat. So that's a simple test you can do. Another test I can do to determine whether it's actually the thermostat that's bad, or in this case my engine temperature sensor, is we actually put a cardboard right in front of the radiator, and that's actually preventing a lot of the airflow to come and hit the radiator, which helps heat up the engine some more. And by putting in that cardboard right over there and blocking majority of that hitting the radiator, I did notice my temperatures got a little bit higher and maintained a higher average temperature, which helps. And now I understand the reason why people put cardboard in front of their grill if their thermostat is not fully functioning. Now a thermostat can be completely out of whack, and what I mean by that is completely closed or completely open. This thermostat in the vehicle, it's working. It's just not working optimally. So unless you're really picky and look at the details and the stats from an OBD2 scanner, or notice the gauge going up and down sometimes as you drive, you're not really going to be able to figure that out. So I'm going to show you guys now what steps you need to take to replace a thermostat in the Honda Civic. This is an 8th gen 2007 model, but all cars are primarily the same concept. So with a bad thermostat and with the engine running cold, your engine management system, which is right here on this vehicle, is actually dumping in more fuel into the combustion chamber, because the colder the engine is, it needs more fuel. So with the thermostat giving my engine a false reading of temperature, quite possibly the ECU is dumping in way too much fuel in the cylinders, causing my running rich condition. So we're going to experiment. We're going to change the thermostat. We're going to reset the battery, reset our fuel trims, and we're going to see actually if this solves our issue. And the first thing you want to do right over here is remove this primary O2 sensor on this 8th gen Civic. This is the primary The secondary is on the bottom. Unclip. Now you're gonna run into one screw here and one screw right here. You have to undo these. These are 10mm screws, which I have previously done. So this bracket is loose at this point, and you're gonna have two more screws on the thermostat. One right over here and one right over there. Alright, so we're just gonna move this bracket to the side, and now we can see screw number one and screw number two right here. So we're just gonna slowly undo those, just lightly. Alright, at this point we can't just take off the housing right here because we're gonna lose a lot of coolant. So this is your radiator cap. We're gonna open it lightly here. As you can see, the car was running for about 5 minutes, so there's some pressure in the system. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna drain the remainder of this coolant, and we're gonna drain that from the bottom of the car. There's actually a nipple right around there that you unscrew, a white nipple, and we're gonna catch that fluid in our container right here. So we're actually gonna reuse this fluid since I just recently did a drain and refill on the radiator fluid using the OEM coolant. We spilled a little bit, and we're still spilling a little bit, but that's the gist of it. We'll have ice cream later, flavored ice cream. Alright, it might not be the easiest thing for you guys to see since this hose is in the way, but I took off both of those screws that hold the thermostat housing in. The radiator is pretty much all drained right now. This is where we're gonna get some spillage. So right here, you just gotta pry a little bit. And we're getting some leakage here. That's expected. As you can see, we got the thermostat here. Everything's loose. Now, you want to keep in mind the orientation that the thermostat's in place here, so you can reinstall the new one in the same orientation. So I'm going to remove this. It's kind of stuck on there. Boom, just like that. So the thermostat was in pretty much 12 o'clock position with this. Alright guys, at this point you want to compare your new one to your old one, and these are just about the same. And I also can see the marking on the old one, which clearly states it's a 282 degrees Celsius thermostat. I like to stick with OEM for this because some of the other aftermarket parts, they might not have the same temperature rating, and again it'll cause fluctuations in the engine management system. Now just make sure the gasket sits properly like the old one, and we already did that, so the gasket's exactly the same with positioning. Now all we had to do was clean the mating surfaces right over here where it sits, and we're gonna reinstall it and just work in reverse right now. One thing I want to show you guys is these indents right here on the gasket actually go in right over there. As you can see, there are indents right over there for that to sit properly. Make sure you guys seat these properly. There's also a little indent right towards the top right here, and that's probably for this little guy right here. At this point, we got the coolant here that we were able to save. We're just gonna pour it into the radiator. And then once it's almost full, we're gonna start up the vehicle. We're gonna let it idle for about 15-20 minutes as we keep pouring in the coolant, because there's air in the system right now, and all that air is gonna have to come out of the highest point in the coolant system, which is this radiator cap. So we're gonna keep it open, bleed off all the air, monitor for leaks right now. I didn't reinstall the little cover with the sensors on it so I can get a better view of the actual gasket and the seal. So here we go. Alright, that's just about all of it there. I'm going to start the vehicle now and we'll top it off. Alright, so we're using our OBD2 scanner here. We're going to link up to monitor the sensors, specifically the engine coolant temperature sensor. Nice little handy tool. I think my brother Bullet's Garage got sponsored by this company, so I'm using that OBD2 scanner, and it's awesome. I didn't realize how much things you can monitor off these little cheap scan tools. So what we're going to be monitoring right here, specifically I'm going to monitor engine coolant temperature sensor. I'll do short-term, long-term again, because that's the fuel trims that we are interested in looking at, and that's really all that I'm going to monitor here. That's all I'm really interested in. So let's go ahead and we'll just monitor this gauge as it goes up to operating temperatures. As you can see, so far so good. We should really step out of the vehicle and monitor for any leaks. There's a lot of coolant here that's spilled. Gotta make sure I clean that off. Everything looks good so far. Temperature is rising. Let me get you guys on the macro lens. So far so good. I'm gonna start adding more coolant right now. It'll probably be a good 10 minutes before we see 180 degree temps. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, adding coolant and monitoring the temps. There you go, look at that. Alright guys, well, great success. The car has been idling for about 10-15 minutes and we're actually just about approaching that 180 degree mark, to be exact 176. Temperature is almost towards midline. This would have never happened before, just by sitting and standing and having the car idle. Again, I was topping off at around 160, 165. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and drive the car, make sure it maintains temperatures around this range. There's no leaks in the engine bay, so everything looks good, guys. I'm really happy, and I'll get back to you guys after the test drive. Alright guys, just in time, finished the thermostat replacement before the snow and the blizzard is starting to hit. The car is maintaining that perfect temperature, a little bit over 180 degrees and varying a little bit from there, so it is working perfectly. First try, no leaks, and because the thermostat is running properly now, again, my air fuel mixtures I'm hoping are going to run more properly. And not only that, the heat inside the vehicle is much stronger because the engine's running hotter. The temperature is hotter through the heater core, which gives me warmer temperatures, and my feet, my cold feet, are loving this. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and we'll see you on the next video. Hope this video helped some of you guys out. Peace.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cold. You might need a sweater